A while back, I made a video about the Elden Ring Convergence Mod. Well, I made two videos, but one was a challenge and one was more of like a review-ish type of video. In that first video, I was very impressed with the Convergence Mod, and I had a lot of fun with it. It's been about a year and a half though since I've played through it, and I've had people telling me I should try it again for months, so I think it's about time I do so. I'm really excited to revisit this mod, because for those who don't know, it adds all sorts of new content, like new bosses, new weapons, spells, all sorts of quality of life changes, and a class system which actually feels like it works. This is my favorite Elden Ring mod, so I'm not going to waste any more time talking. I think it's time we dive back into the lands between and experience all the new stuff the Convergence mod has to offer. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Christmas time, and you know who comes around for Christmas? No, not Santa. It's Raid Shadow Legends. The folks at Raid are celebrating the season with a special event, running from December 5th to January 15th. They are giving away all sorts of goodies like gaming consoles, smartphones, Amazon gift cards, in-game rewards, and even a $5,000 gift card to help you go on the Christmas shopping trip of your dreams. To be eligible to participate in this giveaway, simply download Raid using the QR code on screen or my link in the description, and then head to xmas.raidrpg.com, enter your Raid ID, and start throwing some snowballs. Once you've used my link and downloaded the game, you've only got 24 hours to play this minigame, so you'd better go quick. But that's not all Raid has up their sleeve this winter, because they also have no shortage of ice-cold champions. My favorites are certainly Whirlim Frost King and Sir Nicholas. One thing I can always say about Raid is that their champions look really cool, and these winter ones are no exception. And if you sign up to play using my link, you'll get a huge starter pack with the epic champion Yugo, and another starter pack after reaching level 15 that includes another epic champion, Thane. And if you use the promo code Monkey King, you'll get the legendary champion Sun Wukong completely for free. That code's good until January 7th, so get in there while you can. And lastly, if you've played Raid in the past but took a break, they've got a separate link in the description with a bonus welcome back package just for you. If you do play, join my clan. Thank you to Raid for supporting the channel. Now let's get back to the video. So like I mentioned in the intro, the Convergence mod has a new class system. The base game has classes too, but they almost immediately get ditched, and the class you pick normally doesn't really matter. With this system though, you can pick a class and really expand on it. In my first Convergence video, I chose the Fundamentalist and went with a faith-based build. This time, to mix it up, I'll try and go with a more intelligence-focused build. Now, picking your class doesn't lock you out of anything, so don't stress over this detail too much. I'm going with the Star Caller class, a class that blends physical combat and sorceries pretty well, and since my last character was a dude, I'll be Dumply this time. It's so hard to make a normal looking person in this godforsaken game, man. Then for my keepsake, I'm taking the Enchanted Remnant. We'll get to what remnants do in a minute. Now, another cool thing about this mod is that once you pick up all the starting equipment in the Chapel of Anticipation, you can step through this fog gate and you'll be transported to a new starting location. Every class has a different spot, and the Star Callers is in the Weeping Peninsula, right by where you encounter these gravity guys. The starting weapon, the Meteoric Ore Blade, has a new skill, which is sick, because that thing's pretty useless otherwise. Another great feature of this mod, get used to hearing that, is that the armor you're wearing now gives you specific buffs. But if you don't like the armor you're wearing, no worries, because you can now dye your armor. This feels problematic. Well, hey, you can also change the look of the armor you're wearing to look like something else. For instance, I didn't change what I actually had equipped, but with the Transmogrify menu at the Grace, my armor now looks like this. This is such a fantastic way to give people new roleplay options, or to just make armor that people might otherwise not use or find a chance to shine. Back to cool features, that Enchanted Remnant I got as my keepsake allows me to craft a talisman. There's different remnants for different talismans, but I used this one to make the Gold Scarab. Next, I just did a little exploring. I found a Frenzied Burial Watchdog. I like those little changes, gives you a reason to go back to areas you might otherwise skip. And then while running around in the open world, I remembered that there's an auto pickup feature now. God, I love this fucking mod. Oh, and there's a little skull icon where I killed the watchdog. Now you don't have to remember all the stuff you have and haven't done. And, I know, but you can get the bell bearing from merchants now without murdering them. I did some more exploring and found the Necromancer starting location. mention. When you find these spots, you'll get the path of insert class, as well as the weapons for insert class, which are both great ways to give players a sense of direction and help them make their class matter. Now look, I know I'm being overwhelming with these new features, but there's just so many, and so many that are helpful right at the start, that I'd be remiss not to mention them, like the Erd Tree teleporters. Approach a minor Erd Tree, battle the boss that resides there, and then once you do, you'll gain access to these teleporters that can send you to a myriad of places. What they've done to balance this is to make it so that to leave the new area you just teleported to, you have to defeat the boss there. So I teleported to the West Limgrave Tree, and I had to fight a grafted scion. It beat my ass for a while, but I eventually killed it, which means I now get to roam freely in this area. This is pretty much the best way they could have possibly balanced this, and if you still aren't into the teleporter thing, no worries. Guess what? You don't have to use it. I did end up back in the Weeping Peninsula though, because I needed to get my first magic rune. In the Earth Boar Cave, I faced off against the Chanting Dame, which replaces the Rune Bear, which is great, because that thing is a little much. After killing her, I got the Shimmering Rune of Gravity. These runes are how you unlock spells, so once I used it, I got Rock Sling, Rock Blaster, Collapsing Stars, and Gravity Armor. Again, I love this. Now I know Castle Morn has some changes, so I'll be heading there next. I followed a path, and that led me to this new spot. It's got Frenzy Flame stuff all over, and even just approaching it starts the frenzied buildup. I powered through, interacted with the glowing eye thing, and holy shit, where are we? This is Shabriri's Chosen. He's a pretty tough boss, but he's not too crazy. I ended up dying to him and figured maybe I should go get a talisman to help deal with the frenzy buildup before really committing to that fight. While searching for the remnant, I killed the Mad Pumpkinhead. Selen's behind this door, but I usually just ignore her because she doesn't have much that I need. But I talked to her and she had some new stuff. It was cool to be rewarded for doing part of the game that I'd normally just ignore. I eventually found a warding remnant down in the Witchbane ruins, and with it I crafted a talisman that makes me immune to madness buildup. Warding remnants are pretty powerful, but they are the least plentiful of the remnants, so that keeps them from totally breaking things. With that talisman, I went up against Shabriri's crazy bastard again and didn't have to worry about some of his attacks this time around. This is Elden Ring at its best, man. You find a boss, you want some equipment to fight that boss, you go adventure around, find other bosses and items, and then end up getting what you need by the end of it, and coming back and taking on that original boss stronger and better equipped than you were before. That is a gameplay loop I can absolutely get behind. As for the Chosen guy, he's a pretty straightforward boss, and I felt good when I beat him. Back to Castle Morn though, I went up the elevator and, oh, a boss. Cool, let's see who it is. Oh, wait, what? Okay, so I fought the Leonine Misbegotten. It's sick he's using the Grafted Greatsword, by the way. Love that. And then ran through the rest of the castle as quickly as physically possible so that I could see what new boss is waiting where the Misbegotten used to be. On the way, I found an NPC, Fundamentalist Gino. Hey, like Gino Machino. That's a cool reference. He's definitely earned it, that's for sure. After killing Gino, maybe my greatest feat, I entered the boss arena to find Diru, or Dairu. I don't know, I never learned how to read. This guy is pretty cool, but I really wish he was like somewhere else. See, his moveset is really similar to the Leonine Misbegottens, with some Horaloo mixed into the second phase. The only problem with that combo is that I just fought the Leonine Misbegotten. Like, literally just fought him. So that kind of dampens the experience against this guy because it's like, didn't I just do this? I don't dislike the boss, that's not the problem. I just think he could have been in a better spot. That being said though, I was clearly not ready for this guy, so I figured I'd better go do some of the actual story bosses to power up a bit. Something you'll notice is that a lot of the areas are revamped. Like, the entrance to Stormvale is a little different now, and I'm cool with these changes. It's like the Frenzied Watchdog. It's just a way to make the same old, both a little less same and a little less old. I'll try not to harp on these changes too much when they come up, but I think they're worth mentioning at least. Speaking of changes, Margit is now on steroids. They bumped his health and damage up, in their words, significantly, which I think is great. This dude gets rolled way too easy by most people these days, so this just sets a better pace. I still beat him on my first try, but to be fair, I did a lot of fighting and leveling up before this point that I didn't mention because I didn't want this video to be 50 years long. So it was more of a case of me being stronger than I should be than it was him being weaker. I wasn't strong enough to get through the front gate though. Those damn ballistas just kept hammering me. I took the long way around, and once again, things are a little different here. I did go under Stormvale to see if there was anything new, and I ran into Necromancer Damo, which, hey, another YouTuber reference. That's awesome. I'm not jealous. Okay, straight to Godric. They made this guy actually fun to fight. He's quite a bit faster, and like Margit, he's been beefed up a little bit. That is fantastic. Godric is honestly pretty forgettable in every playthrough beyond your first, so this does him some justice. Speedy Godric is great, and though I did, again, win on my first try, I really like what they did with him. That's the first section of the game done, in my mind at least, so I figured I'd better get a new look. This is a slightly sturdier build than before, and I think it works pretty good for a Starcaller look. Once I was in Liurnia, I went on a killing spree. I was just trying to make sure that I was ready for the next area because I don't think it's going to be a walk in the park like Stormvale was. That next area is Caria Manor, and I'm sure you can tell just by looking on the outside that this place has definitely gotten some changes. It's pretty fun. I don't mind the updated look or feel at all. It's pretty long, but once again, this place is fairly forgettable as you continue on in the game, so I think it's nice that they're trying to take care of these sorts of areas. What wasn't forgettable was the new boss here, Reese the Carian Paragon. This guy fucks. This is a new boss done very right. As I fight him in the background, I want to explain what I think makes a new boss a good boss. When modders try to add new bosses, looking at you, Garden of Eyes, they often find themselves doing too much. They want so badly to achieve a cinematic or one-of-a-kind experience that the dance of the fight gets buried. That dance being the best part of the boss battle for me personally. What I mean by dance is the intuitiveness and flow and back and forth of a boss's moveset. For example, I think Melania, though one of, if not the most difficult bosses in the game, has a great rhythm to her fight. You can often tell exactly what she's doing, you can often tell what's about to come next, and even though some of those things are really hard to avoid, fighting her really does feel like you're doing some sort of dance. The epitome of this, to me in Elden Ring, is Rellana. She's a sick boss. They did great on her moveset. But it doesn't mean you have to be a quick boss like those two ladies. I also think that Radahn, Mohg, Godfrey, hell, even Bale, the big-ass dragon, have good rhythms to their fights as well. So, when fighting Reese for the first time, I was really happy with how they seemed to nail that sort of dance-like feel. I know that was a long rant, but I think it's important to say why I like something instead of just saying, haha, Reese is cool, because it isn't really doing anyone any favors if I just say that. He did drop less runes than Godric, though. That's crazy. I died to that guy like 20 times. Speaking of crazy, check out this sick sword, the Sword of the Cosmos. A, it looks really cool, and B, it is really cool. Perfect for my build. As I was getting ready to leave Caria, I figured it couldn't hurt to look around a little more, and lo and behold, there's another boss here. I assumed this had to be Ghost Loretta and they just moved her, but no, it's another new boss. This guy is pretty cool. He feels like he just genuinely wants to beat the shit out of you. Super aggressive, super large scale attacks. I really enjoyed this fight too. And he even dropped a remembrance after I defeated him. I really wasn't expecting anything else to be in this place, but I got 2 new bosses. That's awesome, dude. It feels like I'm playing the game for the first time again. I also stopped to fight the Onyx Lord to get the glowing rune of gravity, the, I guess technically, 3rd rune that I need. I think most of the spells from this rune were new ones, which again is great. Continuing on in Liurnia, I went to Smarag to grab the I always hate saying his name. I never feel like I'm saying it right. I went to Smarag Sorry. I went to the dragon to grab the academy key, but then remembered that you actually don't need the key to get in there anymore, so I killed that guy for no reason. Like I said in Stormvale, I won't harp on these changes too much, but I liked the new academy a lot. It makes you actually go around and see parts of it that you'd almost definitely skip. I feel pretty bad for Bulls though, who replaces the Red Wolf. He's just so weak, man. They really gotta help him out somehow. Speaking of weak, I also beat up Moongrum, ran through the rest of the academy to get the Grand Library key, and made my way up the elevator to face Rennala. The weak train continues here, because Rennala seems mostly the same, if not even a little less defensive, which got her torn up something fierce. I'd love to see her get the Godric treatment somehow. I know they gave her more health, and I don't really know what it would look like to make her like the perfect fight, but I think Rennala deserves some sort of something, I don't know. Off to the next shard bearer though, I traveled to the Redmane Castle and remembered that there's not a teleporter anymore. Totally forgot, to be honest. I made my way through the castle, where the changes were very similar to those of the academy. It just seems like they want you to actually see all of these locations, and I'm all for that. That did lead me to a boss though, Dak. Dak's cool. I love that he's using the Ruins Greatsword. It's one of my all-time favorite weapons, so fighting against a boss who's actually wielding it is awesome. Then I got ready to body Radahn. Oh, poor Radahn. I wish... I was gonna say I wish... Oh, alright, this guy's got fucking hands now, huh? Turns out, yeah, they buffed him. That's fantastic. I enjoy this fight a lot, and when I did finish him off, it felt much more rewarding than usual. Right after fighting Radahn, I remembered that I never beat Diru. Whoops. Well, believe it or not, he still wasn't a pushover, really, and I was happy that he still put up a fight. We are going to Altus next, where I took down a handful of bosses, and even Margit Jr. He dropped the spell Golden Displacement, and that made me wonder if maybe the spell Cosmic Tunnel is somewhere else too. Those spells, for the uninitiated, are spells that let you teleport a short distance, just like how Radagon does. Back to Altus though, I defeated the Draconic Tree Sentinel and started my way through the capital. It wasn't until I reached the spot where you normally climb up Grand Sax that I realized that this place is different too. I don't love the changes here as much as I liked the other ones. It kind of takes too long to get through, but it's not too bad. And there's a new boss here. Sigur is kind of like a Grave Warden duelist on Omen steroids. I liked him my first time around, and I like him now. I also like that him being here doesn't spoil the fight with Godfrey. I always thought that was such a weird thing for FromSoft to do, but hey, what do I know? So remember how Margit was stronger? Yeah, so's Morgott. He's been buffed specifically to make him more aggressive, which sets the pace of this fight from pedal to the metal to pedal through the fucking floor. But dude, again, I'm all for it. This fight usually doesn't last long enough anyways, because either Morgott shreds you or you chunk his health. This time though, we got to do that little boss dance that I mentioned earlier for a longer amount of time. This, like Radahn, made winning the battle even more rewarding. Before getting my gravity rune, I fought and killed the falling star beast just outside the city. This gave me both Cosmic Tunnel and the better version of the gravity staff. Off to get that rune though, I climbed about 1,000 ladders, jumped high into the sky, and did battle with the full-grown falling star beast. Cosmic Tunnel was actually working perfectly here because it would stun him while he was charging, and it would avoid the attack. I beat him and got the Shining Rune of Gravity. There were only 3 spells in this one, but they're pretty decent at least. Definitely still an upgrade. Cosmic Tunnel is the gift that keeps on giving because I used it to kinda skip a lot of Volcano Manor. This place is different too, and there's nothing wrong with it, but you guys know me by now, I just like fighting bosses, so I tried to get through as quick as I could. I bodied the Godskin Noble, no real surprise there, and then went to take the teleporter to Rykard just to find that, hey, it's not on. Well, guess I'll run around. I ran into Volcano Dist. That is the 3rd YouTuber reference I've run into. Can't help but feel like there's a distinct lack of Dumpy or Kong around here, but hey, it's cool. I'm not upset. Hit me up, guys, if you want to add Starcall or Dumpy, though. I guess Dumpy's too on the nose. Maybe just Kong. That sounds more normal. I don't know. Anyways, after a little while, I found where I was supposed to be. I took the leap of faith into this giant hole, which these kind of things in these games always makes me laugh because, like, normally you can only fall 3 feet before breaking your ankles. So when you get to do this, it's pretty funny. And after that, I ran to Rykard. This is way cooler than just taking the teleporter. This whole area has like a weird sense of foreboding. I like it. I forgot to mention earlier, but I made a talisman that doesn't let environmental lava hurt me anymore, so Rykard was no longer protected by his little lava puddle, and I was able to go kinda ham on him. I beat him up like he owed me money. After defeating my 5th shard bearer, I figured I should probably mix up my build a bit before it's too late in the game for it to really matter. I went around the lands between collecting a few weapons and runes as I went, and by the end of it, I had a brand new setup. This build uses lots of new Dragonkin magic, which I really like, and this build is mad strong, so I wanted to test it out against some tougher opponents. A spell that's great against these bigger guys is the Great Bubble Volley. If you cast it close enough, all the bubbles will hit right away and do some big damage. Speaking of big damage, the new hammer I got is also really strong. Honestly, I destroyed Estelle pretty handedly. I'm almost concerned at this jump in strength. And hey, the Radiant Rune of Gravity. Doesn't do me much good now that I switched builds, but it's cool. I got to test this build against Estelle, but I really wanted a good challenge. So the next area I went to was the Mogwin Palace. This build is utterly insane. It's really strong, and though it can be visually a mess with spells like Dragonkin Devastation, it's also got a really cool feel to it. Moog and I beat each other up for a good while. Mostly him beating me up, honestly. But this is the most fun I have ever had dealing with the red-headed stepchild. After Moog was dead, I was kind of thinking I was on the fast track to beating the game. But then, like a kid who forgot to do their homework, I remembered that there's another Remembrance boss I haven't faced yet. I've actually fought her before. I don't remember what it was for exactly. It was on stream at some point. But at the time, I didn't really like her. She is insanely aggressive. She's got a lot of poise, and she hits hard and fast. But this time around, without all you bastards making me nervous, I'm just kidding, kinda, I was able to really study her moves, and I realized that I actually kinda like this fight. fight. She's the hardest of the new bosses for sure, but she's not broken or anything. She's like Morgott. You just gotta match her pace, keep your eyes up, and your roll pressing fingers sharp. What it took for me to finally beat her was one simple move, Cosmic Tunnel. I died to her like 20 times, but the very first time that I started using Cosmic Tunnel to avoid things, I ended up taking her out. If you aren't into these super fast-paced fights, the Matriarch is gonna really suck for you. But I like them, and I had fun. Okay, with her dead, I think I'm almost done. Well, I'm not. Turns out there's another Remembrance boss down in Sephora. Before that though, I fought Goris, the Scourge of Dreams. He's basically just a rune bear mixed with the Ancestor Spirit, but since they got rid of the rune bear in the Weeping Peninsula, having to fight this one wasn't as annoying as it otherwise could have been. Good job, guys. Then, as I continued through this area to find the new boss, I was honestly shocked at how much they transformed this place. It felt like going through the Dark Root areas in Dark Souls 1 for me, like lots of enemies, you can use the environment to your advantage, and yet again, a sense that trouble is coming. When I did finally get through here, seriously man, it was huge, I reached that new boss I mentioned, Shapeshifter Kymar. Now hold on just a ding-dang second. Haven't I seen this guy before? The answer is yes, in the Dark Souls 3 Convergence mod, which I didn't make a video on, I just played it years ago. And I didn't really like it at the time because I was just really bad at the game, but now I could give this guy a real piece of my mind. And you know what? This is a really great boss fight. His moveset has a great rhythm to it, and it's also just really fun to look at. He keeps turning into different animals that do different things, hence the Shapeshifter title, and the effects are really neat. I wasn't expecting to like this guy at all, but he was actually my new favorite boss for sure. What a great surprise. Okay, now, would you believe me if I said there's actually another new Remembrance boss? Well, down in the Lake of Rot, which is totally reworked by the way, it's way better, if you light 4 torches, you will gain access to a battle against the Vessel of Rot. I think the majority of this boss's moveset is taken from the Demi-Human Queens, but with a Scarlet Rot twist. I felt kinda bad because I beat the shit out of this thing. Sorry, buddy. But okay, I think it's time for us to move on to, what's going on here? Oh, holy shit. Yeah, that genuinely scared me when it happened, I won't lie. So what this thing turns into is the Scion of the Sealed God. And from what I can tell, its moveset is now that of the Demon Prince in Dark Souls 3, which is much more fun than it having a moveset from a different Elden Ring boss. In this form, it hits pretty damn hard, and a stray blast could kill you if you aren't careful. And to be fair, I'm not actually wearing this heavy armor, it just looks like I am, so I'm not really all that durable. The Scion was neat. I'm sure it would have sucked if I hadn't prepared for it with a Scarlet Rot immunity talisman, but with that in my pocket, it was fun. The end is fast approaching, and I want to mix things up a bit once again. This time I've got a glintstone build that is, okay, it's kinda ugly, I know, but I like it. Descending down behind the Bestial Sanctum, you'll find a fog gate with my good friend BBK waiting behind it. BBK was a good person to get used to this build against, and while it definitely isn't as strong as my first 2 builds, I still liked it. At the end of our fight, BBK's controller died, so I sat and waited for him to put some new batteries in, and then I finished him. That opens a portal to Fara Missoula, and we are well on our way to acquiring Destined Death. The Convergence mod must really listen to the people of the world, because they replaced the Godskin duo with Sira, a roided up lion guardian with some big lightning moves. I don't mind her, she's fine, nothing really special. She's definitely way less annoying than emo Mario and Luigi though, that's for sure. Then further into Fara Missoula, we face off against Lanciax. Her being here makes more sense to me, I like that. And they made an appropriately sized arena to fight her in, which is the most important thing. Speaking of appropriately sized arenas, that was a terrible segue, I know, but Placidusax and I threw hands. I don't think I've ever killed Placidusax on one single try. That is, not until now. For the first time ever, I beat that big 2-headed fuck on just 1 try. I call him a fuck with love, by the way. I like him, he just usually beats me up. Speaking of beating on the first try, much better transition that time, I actually did the same thing to Malekith. Okay, I'll admit it, this build is a little stronger than I originally thought. Or maybe I'm just goated, we'll never know. So now after beating Malekith, you go to the mountaintops and deal with the fire giant. I like this order of operations a lot more, because once you do eventually kill the fire giant, without getting hit a single time because you're a fucking gamer god, then you can burn the Erd Tree and go to the capital of Ash. I'm not ready to do that yet though, because as we enter the end stage of the game, I want to use yet another build. I know, I just got used to this one, but there's so many classes, I feel like it would be criminal to not keep trying new stuff. The build I ended up going for is a magma sorcery build. Honestly man, these spells seem crazy. The rest of the bosses in this game do not stand a chance. I challenged Melania, and yeah, I was right. This shit is insane, dude. The poor girl was getting tossed like a salad, which now that I say it out loud sounds kind of gross, but you guys get what I mean. I don't even really have any witty comments here. I honestly felt bad for cooking her the way I did. Oh, okay, I had one witty comment. Seriously though, I am unstoppable now. I went to the capital of Ash where I got to watch Gideon get penetrated. This is Scarred, and he's mostly a normal Crucible Knight, but he's even more aggressive and dangerous than the rest and uses some bestial incantations along the way. I vowed to beat him without parrying like I normally would, and it was more fun. We almost hit each other right at the end, but thankfully I was just a little bit faster and I got the better of him. I love this guy, even if it is just because he took care of Gideon for me. Godfrey was a fun fight as always, though this build is ridiculously strong, so he didn't even stand a tiny bit of a chance. But that's it, ladies and gentlemen, here we are, the very end of our journey. Except not really, because as you can tell, there's still some time left in this video. You see, the Convergence mod doesn't just add things to the base game. Elden Ring has DLC now, so they've done a little work on that as well, and it'd be messed up if I just ignored that, so even though I've been pretty vocal about my dislike of the DLC, I wanted to do this mod justice, and I used the Erdtree teleporter to dive straight in. Once I was there, I realized something. The Convergence mod fixed the DLC. Looking at the patch notes, they have completely removed the Shadow Tree fragments and rebalanced the bosses to reflect that. That is so fucking cool. The DLC was pretty horribly balanced, and yeah, you could get the fragments and get as strong as you want, but personally, I think that system was dog shit terrible. So the Convergence mod really did it. It fixed everything. As far as new stuff goes here, I got the Shadow Rune of Gravity, which gave me a few neat fingering spells, and then picked up the Shadow Glintstone rune, which was okay, I guess. Then to get the next Shadow Rune, I had to go through one of my least favorite video game bosses of all time, Commander Gaius. I hate this guy. I really do. He is straight up just not fun. And I won't sit and complain about him because that's not what this video is about, but fuck that guy. I did eventually get through the saw trap that is Commander Gaius, and then picked up the Shadow Rune of the Dragonkin, and it gave me... oh, no fucking way. That is evil. Alright, I take it back. This mod sucks. Everything sucks. You suck. I quit. No, I'm just kidding, but it is insane to put the rune in the game and just have it be empty. Well, for real this time, let's finish off the game. Now, Radagon, while still a half-decent challenge, didn't take too long to go down. But the Elden Beast? I'm just gonna play a few clips for you. Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, that felt great. I said at the start of this video that the Convergence mod is my favorite Elden Ring mod, but I was wrong. It is my favorite mod, period. My favorite game, honestly. This is the way to play Elden Ring. There's such an improved sense of freedom, and the builds are varied in their playstyles and strengths. It's all just so fun. If you haven't played Elden Ring in a while, I highly recommend going through it again with this mod. Unless I'm trying a different mod, I'm just straight up not playing Elden Ring in any other way ever again. There's no need to. This mod does it all. I seriously love it. Thank you so much to all these folks for their hard work. The Convergence mod is so great, and I hope to keep seeing updates for it. It's also free. Thanks again to Raid for their support. I do YouTube full-time, so their help is very helpful. As for me, that's it, gang. If there's any other Elden Ring mods you'd like to see me try, let me know. Thank you so much for watching. GG's, everybody.